2271, and we're going to recognize Senator Delano to present that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This deals with the Mississippi Wireless Commission. As some of you may know, that's housed at ITS at this current time. And that was the right place for it when the plan was put or when the program was developed, brought online. Now it has turned more into more of a maintenance and operations program. And it would be best placed if it were over at MEMA. And this is something that has been discussed for a number of years. There's been several plans for that. This is the first time that there is a bill that's been brought forward and that's been signed off by the executive branch and the governor's office to facilitate that. So we're basically picking up the Wireless Commission from ITS and then placing it right back down into MEMA. And I will yield with any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions by the committee members? Senator Sparks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You moving any funding pins, anything attached to it, or is there not any of that?
Yeah, there will be on the appropriation side, but we're giving the ITS has been doing a lot of oversight and administrative side of it that MEMA will now be picking up. So there will be some dollars that will be attached to it, but this is something that's been discussed in appropriations. And as this bill moves forward, we'll make those adjustments in those appropriate bills.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Any motions? Motions tell us sufficient do pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the bill reported out. Thank you. Next up, we have Senate Bill 2272, and Senator Boyd will be presenting it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a bill that came about as a result of our Women's and Children's Family Task Force. We had a number of state agency heads that we heard from, and one of the comments, like for example, from Commissioner Sanders was that they needed to sometimes play go fish among their state agencies and give things back to other agencies that fit more within that agency. So we have a number of health and welfare agencies within our state, but oftentimes there's a lot of bureaucracy with that. That, for instance, if you want a mental health facility certified that's going to see patients, you're going to have to go to the Department of Health, not the Department of Mental Health. And the Department of Health has oversight. The Department of Health would like not to have oversight of mental health. And they would like that to be within the Department of Mental Health. Child care facilities, the Department of Health has still a great deal of regulation in that. That should be probably situated within DHS, who does do child care issues and all of that. So the agency heads have all suggested that they have an efficiency task force. A number of them have, not all. And so what this bill does is it creates a task force for them to meet. It's a 13-member task force. There'll be members of the legislature, the governor's office, the attorney general's office. And what it would do is have them meet over the next few months and report back to us how that they would suggest creating better efficiency within their tasks, within their respective agencies, and helping then consumers know that if you need a license for this, that it's kind of going to the more appropriate agency, and you're not having to go to 3 or 4 different agencies to do it. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions by committee members? Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess the board now with the there will be no conflict with the, just say the licensure and the reviews or the overview of that, right? Just said State Department licensed child care providers, Department of Human Services basically set up the policies and all of that, do the reviews. There won't be any conflict in that with it.
No, sir. And I think that's one of the things that this task force, it's a pretty good task force, and it also has like 3 representatives from the Senate, 3 representatives from the House. So there'll be from the governor's office and the attorney general's office. So I think there'll be a number of individuals should there be conflict, but most of the agencies we have are in a lot of agreement into how that this needs to be set up to be more efficient to the public. So I think they'll be looking for that. I feel very positive that we'll have something that will be a lot more consumer friendly to the public when these agencies get through doing this.
And you said certain state agencies, do you have an idea what number or is it still wide open until?
No, so we have listed 5 different agencies in here, and those have mostly to do with our human services agencies. It's the Division of Medicaid, the Department of Human Services, the Department of Child Protective Services, the Department of Health, the Executive Director of Mental Health. So those are all of our kind of public service agencies within that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Ward.
Thank you. Any further questions? Senator Parker?
More of a comment than a question. I'll say that I've sometimes look at task force and I say, is this really necessary? Should we be doing this? But I just want to compliment Senator Boyd. It was her brainchild to put together a task force at the end of last session. And I think that task force identified some ways that government can work together more efficiently. And I see what she's doing here as being another attempt to try to do that. And I think this is a great idea. I would be honored to try to serve on a task force like this, and just look forward to your work and continuing that journey. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, is there a motion? Motion's House sufficient do pass. All those in favor? Say, any opposed? That bill will be reported out. Next, we have Senate Bill 2573 and recognize Senator Thompson to explain it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, Senate Bill 2573 would create the Department of Tourism. Currently, the tourism is a division of the Mississippi Development Authority. This would take tourism out from under MDA and create its own department with its own executive director and its own mission focused exclusively on tourism. Just by way of background, tourism is currently Mississippi's 4th largest industry, estimated 43.7 million visitors, spending 11.5 billion annually and generating over 1.1 billion in revenue for the state's general fund. So it's a significant industry for us, particularly as we continue to grow as a state. And that's a brief explanation of the bill. This bill is something that we've taken up several times in the Senate. I believe it's passed last year or the year before, 51-1. So if somebody wants a more detailed explanation of the bill, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Senator Thompson. Any questions by the committee members? Senator Blunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What would be the effect on the employees who are working in this division right now at MDA? They would not be at risk of losing their job? They would just work for a different agency under a different director. Is that right?
That's correct. Those pins would just move out from under MDA to the Department of Tourism.
And if they're civil service or civil service, so we still have, at least in the state, we still have civil service. So they're not going to lose their job if this happens.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Parker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I was kind of just thumbing through here real quick. I was trying to find, I know MDA has expressed concern about, our rest areas and that kind of thing. Would that be something that, I don't see it in here, would that be something that potentially would be moved also in the tourism part?
Rest areas like on the interstate?
Yes.
I don't believe
Like
that.
welcome centers or that kind of thing.
I don't believe that's the intent of the bill. No, not to
Okay.
move those out from.
And I didn't see it in here. I just wanted to see if that, because I know you probably worked with MDA on this. And I know at the end of last session, there was kind of a push to bring, this same type of bill forward. Has there been any consultation or work with Senator Chasanoff out of session on this? And Or should
Not-
I just
not out of-
approach her and find out?
Yeah, I've not
If
spoken
she's-
with Senator Chasnow directly about that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I believe this is double referred to you next. So, okay. Any further questions? If not, is there a motion? Motion's toss sufficient to pass. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? We'll send that to Senator Parker's committee. Last up today, we have Senate Bill 2889 and recognize Senator Wiggins to explain it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really just a simple bill. It's repealing the sections you have before you, which are, there was what we call a mental health czar that was appointed to assist the community mental health centers. In short, it doesn't appear that we're getting bang for our buck. Not that it's anybody's fault or anything like that. It's just become a position that's not needed. And so that's what it's doing, is simply repealing that position.
Are there any questions? Motion's toss sufficient to pass. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll report that bill out. Rise and report. Thank you.